Man, I feel like such a genius right now. Oh, I'm an idiot sometimes. Just after I got done saying I was a genius, huh? Hey everybody, thanks for checking out episode 40. Today I have big plans for the empty spaces here in the upper left circle. We're finally going to be filling them in with circuits. So before we get too underway, let me preface this episode with saying that my mouse is still not showing up on camera. From my perspective, I can see my mouse. It's moving around right now, but you guys probably cannot see that at all. It is a driver issue as far as I can tell, and as much as I've done trying to research the issue, I cannot get it fixed. So if you guys have any suggestions on how to fix it with the NVIDIA GeForce drivers, let me know in the comment section down below, but otherwise, hopefully it doesn't ruin the content too much for you guys. I'm hoping for a fix here pretty soon. But back to the regularly planned video, what I'm hoping to do is fill in all 4 of these quadrants most likely with circuits, which means that this newly built nuclear reactor facility, which has been very helpful with keeping up my power, is going to have to get moved somewhere else. Where that else will be, I'm not exactly sure yet. I'm debating putting it, probably not both of them. Well, let's see. I don't know if there's a way to fit 2 in like one of these smaller quadrants over here. And the reason why it's smaller is because we have the supply depot kind of taking up the bulk of the middle. But if there's a way to maybe orient the nuclear reactor facilities somehow in a configuration in this quadrant here, and then maybe doing it over here as well, so moving the module factory somewhere else, that would be 4 nuclear facilities within the main circle over here. So that would be nice, which would free up the room here to this bottom right quadrant of the upper left circle for some sort of circuit configuration. I'm not sure which of the quadrants would house which circuits, but we could figure that out later on. I think the first thing we have to do is go to the drawing board. In my case, that means going into my creative test world, where we're going to start playing with some circuit configurations. Now here we are in the test world, and of course at this point I have my creative mod enabled. And we're in a very similar circle. This should look pretty much identical to the one we have back at the regular vanilla map. So with this here, I'm planning on using the circle as kind of like a template to make sure that my circuit factory, whatever it ends up looking like, will fit in some fashion within these quadrants here. And I'm thinking we'll start with green circuits because that's really the foundation for all circuits, of course. So let's pull over my favorite calculator, the Kirk McDonald calculator for Factorio. This should be the correct patch, and how I use the calculator is having in all of my science ratios input for all of the sciences. And then scrolling down here, let's just look for the green circuits, which are right here. So it looks like with the conditions that I have in, with the modules in and the beacons and stuff, although this should actually probably be 24. Let's change that because each beacon can hold 2. So if I have 12 beacons surrounding each assembler, that would be equal to 24 modules. So back to this. Okay, so this is telling me we need 33,047.282 circuits. And I think this is per minute. Yep, per minute. And that equates to just over 12 blue belts worth, so full 12 at the very minimum. Ideally, since I like to overproduce rather than underproduce, that would be 13 full blue belts worth of green circuits. And they're saying that we would require 24.6, or again, we're going to round up, so 25 assemblers with these modules in place and the beacons in place around it. So that gives me kind of a starter for where I should be looking to plan the circuits. But in addition to that, we're going to start laying down some sort of configuration and then still do some testing on top of that. So I already pulled over my old 0.16 green circuit build. I wanted to take a look at this and just see if there's like any tweaks I would like to do to it, or if I want to just go with the same configuration. I like this because it's fairly compact. It's essentially a 1-to-1 ratio of the copper wire to the green circuit assemblers, which is nice. Let's see if there's anything I can do to make it better. Let's actually do a little bit more testing. We'll do, this is copper that goes in here. Iron will come in here. And then we'll duplicate this with just the copy feature to all of these. And essentially turn it on for a minute. Let's see, do I have any production? Oh, there it is. Okay, so I think this is the only production of green circuits that I have running right now in the creative mod. Although I do have green circuits getting used in other parts of the factory through the creative mode. Oh, and I'm forgetting we need the matter void thingy here. So that way we can actually have a constant supply of assemblers working. There we go. So I'm waiting for these belts to kind of clear up a little bit. In this current state, it should do 16,000 green circuits per minute. I doubt we'll get much better than that, but there might be simple things we can do to improve. Like, I'm looking here, noticing that this assembler is really not working much. It's already practically a full belt by the time it gets to this last row of assemblers. So, maybe we can delete these guys? That would be my first instinct. So, I'm actually gonna cut that and place it on top of that. And that way we'll essentially have gotten rid of an entire row without having to do too much deletion work here. So this assembler, working more often of course, because we just got rid of a row. Another thing though I'm considering, maybe we can add in an extra inserter. Let's test that out a little bit here. Oh, and we can fix this up a little bit too. So let's see, let's put the inserter here. Well, oh, actually, no, we'll put that there for starters. The first one can be a little bit different. And then I'm trying to leave room if I want to for, you know, lights or something like that here on the corners, but that's obviously like one of the last priorities. Okay, so 2 inserters. How would that look? Maybe we don't have room for the lights after all. But let's copy and paste this. Let's just see if it makes any, whoops, any bit of a difference at all. Copy that there and there. And maybe just so I can see a little bit better, let's extend this out so we can look for any gaps in the belt. I usually just visualize how much compression I'm getting through my whatever item is on the belts here. That looks pretty good. That's actually like, that's as far as I can tell. Oh, there's a little gap there. But let's duplicate this. So let's see, how many times do I have this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll delete those guys right there. We'll copy all of this. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There's 6. So it'll now fully be turned on. And then we can actually compare the production rate here. Let's see, is that warmed up enough? It might be. Those look compressed to me. Production, ooh! Alternating 16 to 17K. This won't be accurate because it hasn't been running for a full minute yet. Ooh, now that's down to 15. Well, it looks like it still honestly is hovering closer to 16K than anything, which is essentially what it was prior. With the original factory, except we were able to get rid of an entire row's worth of beacons and assemblers and therefore modules, and so it's more efficient with less things required to be that efficient. So I'm considering this a win. Whoops. So maybe I was overproducing by way too much with the other factory to begin with, or maybe it's the little tweaks I did that are making it this efficient, but this is fine by me. So this factory can do 16,000 circuits per minute, like we just said. And then going back to the calculator, again, we need 33,000 per minute. So Slightly more than 2 of these factories should be all the green circuits that we need for the entire 1000 science per minute base that I have planned. So from here, I think we should start planning blue circuits next. I'm pretty confident that this is the green circuit build I'm going to go with. Let's just double check that it will fit in some way in the one of these quadrants over here, which it should easily. And then we should still have plenty of room for the inputs of products going in, as well as the green circuits coming out and feeding back onto the car bus thingy here. So the reason why I say moving on to blue circuits next is because I'm wondering if there's a way to like make the blue circuits a little bit more compact and almost include the green circuits into the blue circuit build. Because I've seen factories on Reddit as an example where they have like a direct insertion of, you know, copper wire into green circuits, into red circuits, into blue circuits, and, you know, stuff like that, which I've never done or used or attempted before. But I think that'd be kind of interesting. And if there's a way to meet the production rates of the blue circuits in a build like this, where it's all fairly direct insertion, then we could maybe get away with not needing 2 green circuit builds. We'll see. So again, the first thing with designing my circuit build or any factory where I already have the end rate goal in mind, in this case 1000 science per minute, is pulling back over that calculator. So looking here at blue circuits, we need 1086.395 blue circuits per minute, which is only half a belt, so we're never going to get 100% compression, but it will be 50% compressed if it's all running at this rate. The calculator is saying that we'll need 0.2 over the 16, so 16.2, or in our case, potentially 17 assemblers with this module configuration. Now, because I'm considering building the green circuits into the blue circuit build, I'm going to extend this tab one more window over, and we're going to see it broken down into exactly how many green circuits will go into this specific build. So in this case, in order to keep up with the 1086 per minute, it's saying that we will need 17,737 green circuits per minute, or 6.6 blue belts. 1,551 circuits will be red circuits. But interesting thing here is that the assemblers are pretty close. So we would be rounding up the assemblers for green and red circuits. So that would be 14. So 14 for green and red. And then it says we need 16.2 assemblers for blue. You know, I'm thinking that having like a direct insertion from practically copper wire to blue circuits might be doable. We'll slightly overproduce probably the red and green circuits, because what we'll do is plan on having at least 17 assemblers for blue circuits, and having the additional assemblers for green and red match the same ratio. So we'll have it be a 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1, you know, type thing. So hopefully that made sense, but if it didn't, don't worry, because I will show you what I mean on camera here. So let's, looking back at that green circuit build, I actually kind of like the configuration of all of these assemblers in this little setup down here. So let's kind of use what's already working for us. No need to reinvent the wheel. And we'll copy this for now. Yes, I sound so unsure. And let's put it out of the way. All right, so what do we have to work with? So we have copper wire. Let's put in the thingy here and have stuff stop blinking, please, because that's so annoying. We'll plan on a full belt of copper, because I imagine we'll have multiple rows of the blue circuits. This, again, will have to be iron plate, which, again, we'll do a full thing of iron plate on each side. And then for the outputs, we'll have green circuits direct insert into a red circuit assembler. Wow, this feels foreign to me. I've never done anything like this before. Where are some assemblers? Or modules. There we go. Whoops. Wrong thing. Wrong thing. There we go. Alright, so let's continue that thing there. Modules in beacons there. Put in the recipe. And then next to the red circuit assembler will be the blue circuit assembler. And we can plan on having... Where's my pipe? Do I have pipe on here? No, I don't. We can put that there, and that can go into no man's land, where we pretend that there's some sort of acid getting fed to it. Where's the fluid pipe thingy? That will be acid. That will go in there. We'll copy this. Let's see, I want it to look in this configuration, so how does that need to work? Like that? Because I need to leave enough room for an output, so that will give me enough room, barely. And it's the same width on both sides, so there's 2 tiles in between. So I'll put that there. Definitely only need 1 inserter in this scenario. We'll put that there, that there, that there. Underground belt there that will feed onto the next row. And finish putting in the beacons, I think. Is this... Let's see, what goes here? We need plastic coming here from the top for the red circuit, so plastic. We also need copper wire, which, let's get rid of that now just so I can, like, think to myself. Let's get rid of that for now. Let's get rid of the lights for now. Well, we'll keep that light. I'm trying to keep the lines straight and even-ish. Oh, I probably don't need to feed any more wire into that because we have these 3 inserters that will do that for us. We'll get rid of those. Let's do, we'll do productivity for now. Let's, oh, crap. So how do we get the blue circuit assembler some green circuits? Well, you know what? I've already solved my own problem. So we have the wire coming onto the top portion of the underground belt here. So we could do, if we get rid of that, we'll put that there, and that there is have that. Perfecto. We'll have the blue assembler pick that up from there. Let's do another inserter just to be on the safe side. In fact, maybe let's make it a fast inserter. I don't know if that makes a huge difference. We do need to worry about this guy getting copper wire, which again, we can pull straight from here. Man, I feel like such a genius right now for once in Factorio. Is all of this working? Can this actually work? And then, just because I want to experiment, let's actually cut this. Let's cut this and have it go up a little bit higher. Cut this, and no, I don't know my shortcut controls yet. Oh, we want to keep that there. But I've been experimenting with having boxes feed into my filter or my stack inserters lately, because it seems like they lag a ton. I know I've seen other people do it, so not to say that just because someone does it means it's right, but I'm just, you know, playing around with the idea of other techniques for doing stuff. So we'll copy those box conditions because we only need 1 stack at a time. So hopefully, because stuff will already be kind of buffered a little bit, there won't be so much lag time with the inserters trying to pick up stuff. And then I don't think we have enough room to do another box on this side, but we can have these inserters pick up any lag or miscellaneous things, and we can do that right there for now. Okay, so I guess let's turn it on. We'll turn it on essentially by putting in a matter void. Although, what am I missing? Don't I have all of the ingredients right now? Oh, I'm an idiot sometimes. Just after I got done saying I was a genius, huh? There we go. Wow. What a colorful, beautiful little blue circuit build. The question will be, as beautiful as it is it also going to be smart and efficient? That is to be determined. Let's take a look at the production rates here. This time we're going to isolate blue circuits. So I'm hovering, 12 is the low end of it. 36 seems to be the apex of the production. That's not so much. And I think it was high here just because things were probably buffered or something. So it looks like I'm hovering closer between 24 and 36 blue circuits per minute. Is there anything we can do to increase production? Let's just keep an eye. Let's look at this blue circuit assembler real quick. And we'll see what it's missing. So right now it was delayed. There was a pause in production. And it looks like this is consistently true is because it doesn't have enough red circuits. So I know this is practically a sin, but let's see what happens when we put speed modules in here instead, because I know it's not the most cost-efficient thing to have speed modules in there, but the point is not to have the most efficient red circuit production at like a low cost. The point is to keep up with blue circuit production, which we can't do if red circuits are too slow. So I guess what I want to do is experiment with this build a little bit more, and then we're going to combine the rows into whatever like end game blue circuit configuration it has to look like. We could do further testing, but ultimately it's just a matter, I think, of playing with the modules in here and playing with the amount of beacons that we have per row, and then making sure we can duplicate this tile into obviously more than one tile. So give me one cut and I will see you guys back in just a second with what the finished version of this will be looking like. Well, here it is, the finished blue circuit build. It's not quite as beefy as I was hoping it would be. In fact, it only produces about half of what we're going to be needing for the blue circuits. With this build here, which is 4 columns of 4 tiles worth, so therefore 16 assemblers, I'm only producing around 580 per minute. We're basically going to have to double it. So this wasn't nearly as efficient as I was hoping, but it's fairly compact and it's creative and cool looking, which are also big goals of mine, as you guys know, is to think a little bit outside of the norm. And I think with this build it does that. So to break down a couple things I fixed between cuts here, basically this should all look fairly the same. I was able to filter out the copper wire from extending along into the blue assembler territory where it didn't need to go. Of course, having the copper wire extend there wouldn't hurt anything, it's just not necessary. If you guys want to be cheaper though, if you were to duplicate this build, you could just go without the splitter here that helps to filter out the copper wire. Everything else still looks the same, I think, apart from I have speed 3 modules in 3 of the parts for the green circuit and red circuit assemblers. I did notice that when I was comparing basically tile to tile, so like one version of this with another version that had productivity modules, that this was actually able to keep up with the blue circuits quicker than having productivity modules in here instead. That will be the end game blue circuit build. We'll just need 2 of them. So I think what we'll do is fit one of them maybe in this upper left quadrant over here, and we'll do another one in the upper right quadrant. I don't think we can fit 2. It's just too long, unfortunately. So we'll do one on each side, and then maybe to take up the excess space in here to make it look a little bit more full, we can put some acid assemblers or something, or chemical plants or whatever it takes to make acid, we can maybe incorporate into the build here itself. But that's something that we can work out a little bit or even much later down the line. The next thing we really have to do and worry about is red circuits, which to start that requires looking back at the calculator yet again. So pulling that over here. So I have two tabs open. This one is, again, how many red circuits I need for the total build. So this is 7,555.394 per minute, or about 68 yellow assemblers devoted to production of the red circuits, and just under 3 fully compressed blue belts of red circuits to meet our entire 1,000 seconds per minute goal. But one thing we have to consider is, now that we're producing red circuits as part of the blue circuit build, is we can subtract this amount of circuits, because this is how many are actually going towards the blue circuit build, from this number here. We have 7,555 minus, I think it was 1,551, equals 6,004 red circuits that we actually have to make in its own personal build. And those circuits will get dispersed to things like science or modules in the future, potentially, or who knows, I can't remember everything else it goes into. But that will make our build hopefully a little bit smaller that we have to do. Oh boy. For some reason, I'm kind of dreading red circuits. Let's pull over my previous build. Whoa. This was ginormous. And yet this was not even close to being one of my biggest builds back in my 0.16 series. So that's where this blueprint is coming from. We're going to plop it down and just kind of look at it for inspiration. Look at, see what I can improve. What is working for me so far. Let's give it some power. There we go. So it looks like in this build, I wasn't using the max amount of beacons around each assembler. I was only using 10. And potentially we can fit 12 beacons around each assembler. So that's an automatic thing I can do to increase the efficiency and production of the red circuits right off the bat. And let's see, how many rows of this do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of red circuits per one, gosh, that tree, per one row of copper wire. So I think we'll duplicate or create something similar to this. Let's see here. Let's go to kind of a standard build, and we'll start fresh in this quadrant over here. 1, 2, and 1, 2 right there. We put the beacon, or the modules in the beacons. I keep getting that mixed up right now. And there are ways to make a configuration like this more compact. You could technically get rid of the gap here in between the beacons on either the top or side. But in this case, we'll see if we can compress it down first of all. So I need 3 lanes connected with this assembler here. I of course need a lane for my output, which we can put here as kind of a standard configuration that I like. So we can put the output there. We need power, which we'll put somewhere for now. Actually, we'll worry about that after we put in the other lanes. We do need the copper wire, which, if I imagine that there's going to be a similar configuration like this for copper wire, we can pretend that that's this one here. Make that into copper wire. This will therefore become the copper input. That goes there. That goes there and there. And then I think we'll need several inserters is my guess. Like that. Just because I'm remembering that we use several inserters to output the wire back on the 0.16 blueprint. So we'll do the box thing again. I'm liking the box thing right now. So that will go like that and that. We will cap this off at 1 stack just so we don't get too much wastage, if that's a word. And then we need the last input, which will be the green circuits, which we could fit either horizontally like that, or I like the idea better of having it go vertically adjacent to the red circuit assembler. So what we can do... Let's move that inserter. I don't know. Will that work? Let's see. Hold on. So we can have that go. Ooh, it just barely fits. Okay, good. So we can put this inserter back like so. Will that go any further? Yes, it will. My lucky day. That means we can fit lights in the corners. And I always like fitting lights in the corners. So that will go there. And then either we can put an underground belt there or add it in an extra inserter here if needed. But we probably don't need that. But I don't know till we turn it on for sure. Ooh, and then we have just enough room for, well, we have plenty of places for power actually, but let's go ahead and put it right there for now. And we need power up here as well. Maybe we'll put the power thingy there just so it's all aligned nicely. We'll put a... I'm actually not sure if we'll need more than one inserter for the copper, but that's the whole point of testing. So that will go there, that will go there, and then actually this is where the lane of copper plate ends. It doesn't need to continue on any further. We'll put a tester inputty thingy right here for the green circuits. We'll do both sides there. And then we're missing one more thing. What's the other? Oh, shoot. I'm missing plastic. Crap. I did not prepare for this. Okay, we still have enough room. Power is going there. Okay, good. That still connects. Maybe, can we fit plastic coming in this way? Of course we can. I suppose it could come from either the left going to the right or the right going to the left. It really doesn't matter. But if we were to keep the red circuit build within this quadrant, I'd imagine I'd want the plastic coming in from the right. We can do plastic like that. Where's my thingy there? Plastic and... Oh, shoot. Nope, nope, nope. No, gosh. Wrong items a couple times there. Okay. Now we test and take a look at it. Marvel in what we have made. This will take a minute for all of the items to get unbuffered. So what I like to do when I do my production testing is use one version of, or like one tile of the factory as a control, kind of like you notice with the green and blue circuit builds over here. So this is what I'm considering to be the one tile. So let's pull open the production statistics. We'll get rid of that. We'll click on that. Okay. So I was just going to say, that can't be right. So one thing about this is that must be including the red circuits also in this build here. So in order to only get a control of how many red circuits are getting built in the new factory, let's turn this off. Good. And now you'll see that the red circuit production is dipping significantly. So it looks like, oh yeah, that must be right. I was going to say, somewhere else it looks like we're producing red circuits on the map, but it looks like right now we're producing anywhere from like 90 to 120 red circuits per minute, which seems like that would be accurate according to this build. I want to leave productivity modules in here. I don't want to use speed modules in this case because I want it to be the most cost-effective way to produce red circuits in this case. That looks good. So now we can just duplicate it. I can't think of really anything else to test apart from just seeing how long we can get this tiled and see exactly how many columns we can fit in this quadrant, and ultimately whether it's going to end up equaling the end game goal of 6,004 or so red circuits per minute, because again, we're taking that number because we don't need the red circuits because they're already getting produced in the blue circuit build over here. So that's why we only need 6,004 more red circuits getting built per minute. So give me another cut and we'll be back with the end game version of the red circuit build. Well, it took some playing with, but I am finally happy with how the red circuit build came out, and it's all able to fit in one quadrant, so it's not going to have to take more than one. This entire thing here produces between 6,000 and 6,100 red circuits per minute, so I'm very pleased with that. That was exactly the goal I was going for. So between this red circuit build and the red circuits produced with the blue circuits, that will be all of my circuits covered for the entire 1,000 cycles per minute goals that I have in mind. Of course, the hard part will be maintaining all of the throughput for the inputs that will be required, because it looks like I'm using like 1.5 belts worth of copper plate, it turns out, for each of the copper wire machines. And then I'm using a full belt of green circuits, which maybe there's a way, if you can imagine that this factory were gone, it might be possible for me to have, instead of the cars going around on the belt bus and delivering the green circuits via car into the lanes over here, there might be a way for me just to belt over from one factory, basically one quadrant to the other, the green circuits that will be required. But that's something we can figure out when we get back over to the main map. If this looks a little bit funny to you, that's because the factory's kind of flipped on its head. In the previous cut, it was essentially flipped 180 degrees, but now we're having the outputs of the red circuits going up, whereas in the previous clip, they were coming down. A couple other things that I made in terms of changes was that I ended up using a box, another use of it as kind of like a little bit of a buffer and promoting quicker insertion of the inserter so there's not as much lag. So I have that there. But otherwise, it's essentially the same as you guys saw it. We're still using 100% Productivity 3 modules in all of the assemblers, surrounded by 12 beacons with 2 Speed 3 modules per beacon. And I'm really pleased with how it turned out. It couldn't be any more compact or really any larger in this build here. And I want to say I'm actually using the exact amount of assemblers that were recommended in the calculator as well. And then I just opened another tab in the calculator because this time we're going to see just how many assemblers it took to produce 6,004, I think is the number, red circuits per minute, which we'll put here. Because I am curious to see just how close I came to the actual recommended assemblers and stuff like that on the calculator here. So according to the calculator, to produce 6,004 red circuits per minute, it states that we would end up needing 54 in our case, because we're rounding up again, assemblers just for red circuit production, and also meeting all of these other requirements. So let's count and see how many I have here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55. So I'm using 55 assemblers. So I guess if I wanted to, I could theoretically get rid of one, but for the sake of aesthetics, I think I prefer just having kind of one little square missing over here, which makes it look more symmetrical, at least if we were to fold it diagonally. So I'm pretty pleased. Not only did it come out looking really good, but it came out practically what the calculator was recommending as well. So I think this is actually where we're going to leave it. I was hoping we were going to have time to actually install these factories now in the vanilla map as well, but I think we'll save that for episode 41, where we can also get a couple other things done that I was hoping we were going to fit in episode 40 that I kind of put off as a later priority. That thing was putting in a personal train area and possibly an area for the banner and the artillery train that I was talking about last episode. So I still have plans for that. I didn't forget about it, but that means we can go ahead and install a bunch of things for episode 41. So I hope you guys will continue to watch. Stick around for that. We're getting close. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode below, and I'll plan on seeing you guys next time.